What's going on, everybody? Tom Olson here, back with a Good Success podcast, and I have got a really cool guest that I just met a couple months ago at an event that I was at, Lorraine Beato, and I kind of pronounced it wrong. I said Beato, and she's like, you got to think Italian, so although you're not Italian, right?
No.
Right, Lorraine? No,
correct. I'm Portuguese.
He's Portuguese, and it's pronounced Beato. So you got to have some vibrato in your voice there. So I can't wait to get to our guest today. She has she's a Atlanta chapter leader of WREN, which is Women's Real Estate Network, which is a network across the United States teaching women how to do real estate and just kind of being a support group. And I'll let her talk about that. It's really exciting to have that. Right now, she's in St. Johns Creek, Georgia, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is right outside Atlanta, correct?
Yes, about 25, 30 minutes north of Atlanta.
So basically, she's in the suburbs of Atlanta, kind of like I'm in the suburbs of Chicago here. She is a realtor that's focused on investors. So she's have a lot of people have come to her from across the country saying, hey, I want to invest in Atlanta. And she's a realtor, a resource as a realtor to those investors and maybe help them find properties or help them advise or consult on that. And she does a great job in that. She's also been a loan officer. She's been an appraiser. She's been in real estate since 1984. So yes, that is definitely a long time, way longer than I've been in real estate. So she probably knows more than, she's probably forgotten more than I know about real estate. But I'm really excited to have her on the show today. So how are you doing today, Lorraine?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am pretty good. I just got back from Cabo, and coming from Cabo to Chicago in the middle of the winter is definitely, it's an experience, I'll tell you that. So it was 82 degrees 3 days ago, and right now I think it's about 2 degrees here in Chicago. So that's a pretty big difference. I found a new favorite location of myself. I've never been to Cabo, and that was definitely a place I'd love to go back. So before we get started, I do want to remind everybody that we do have the Community Go-Giver event coming up right here in Gary, Indiana. We're talking about flipping Gary, talking about one of my big dreams is to flip the city of Gary, Indiana. And we are here showing you what we're doing with our properties. You will actually have a bus tour going through the properties. And it's a really exciting event. And this year and all the future years going forward, we're doing something really special. So I now have a nonprofit called Community Go-Giver, and it's really meant to just be able to give a helping hand and give a hand up to people in the community and to help other people use real estate to have a positive impact in the community. And we're going to do that at the Community Go-Giver. So if you're the type of person that would say, hey, like I would love to go to an event like that where 100% of all ticket sales are going to go back to those community go-givers and back to the charities that are actually helping the community. And we're going to give them to them live here at the Community Go-Giver. We're thinking about doing an auction. We may do that. I'm not sure. But if you're interested in using real estate to have a positive impact on the community and using your talents and your time and your treasure as a conduit to be able to help other people in the community, I would highly recommend the Community Go-Giver events. You can just go to communitygogiver.com to find more information about that. Also, we do have the Good Success Mastermind. If you're local to Northwest Indiana, we have a small every once a month meetup group called the Community Go-Giver Club, which is a local mastermind. We meet all day on the last Saturday of the month. And we also have the Good Success Mastermind that meets once a quarter for people like Lorraine, who may be visiting us at this next one or maybe one in the future. But for people that are at a different level, but they still want to have that group of advisors and that group of people that can help them with their challenges, because it doesn't matter which level you're at in real estate, there's always a challenge, and being able to have people in a room that you trust, that you can open and be vulnerable and say, hey, like, this is what I'm having problems with. What do you think I should do? And then have that other side of like 30, 40 people saying, hey, I've been there before and this is what I did and it was a mistake, or, hey, I've been there before and this is what I did and it was what I should have done and it worked out really well for me. Being able to see people on both sides is encouraging, it's challenging, and it's a great support group to be able to help create your top 5 of those people that you have in your life that you can call at any given moment saying, I need to make a decision by midnight. What do I need to do? So if you are interested in that, and I know most of the people that maybe listen to this may not be qualified for that, that's okay. But if you think you're qualified and you want an invitation to that, you can just go to goodsuccess.com/mastermind and find us there. And then my 30 days to good success journey. This is a 160-page workbook that I just completed not too long ago. And actually just yesterday, I completed a 31 video series on this exact book, going through it in video form. It's about 8 hours of content that will be coming out really soon. I'm really excited about that as well. But you can go to goodsuccess.com and also pick up your copy of this. You can also pick it up at Amazon if you want to pay twice as much. So let's get back to our guest. Lorraine, thank you so much for being on the show with us today. I really appreciate you taking the time to maybe give some nuggets or give some advice or, you've been doing this now for, a
long time.
30 plus years, right? That's definitely, that's longer than some people have been born, but I'm not going to ask your age, Lorraine, or nothing. Don't worry about that. 2 things my mother taught me: never ask a woman their age or how much they weigh. And we're not doing that on this show. So Lorraine, could just introduce yourself, tell us, maybe who you are and what you do.
Sure, absolutely. So Lorraine Beato, as you said, Portuguese descent, not Italian. And I call myself a real estate entrepreneur. I think that's a very good word for me because I am not just a real estate agent. I also invest. I consult my clients, and I have several clients from out of state. And that's really my niche, is investors who wanted to invest in Atlanta when the market started taking off several years ago. And now I have created, this national network pretty much that, I help people across the country, but I just also have clients who still want to invest in Atlanta. It's a little bit of a challenge right now. So now they're moving segments. I have a client actually that I just helped with a 92-unit acquisition of a 92-unit apartment building. He's in Charlotte, called me up, said, hey, what do you think about this area? So I helped him get some information on the complex. I helped him raise capital for it. And yeah, I'm a all-around real estate resource here in Atlanta. And, if it's things that can go across boundaries, then wherever I can help, I'm happy to help.
Well, that's amazing. So along with that, do you maybe do you property manage for these people as well? Or do you just kind of do you have other property managers that you recommend to, because that's kind of normally what ends up being the biggest pain point. They might get a great deal, but if they don't have a good property manager, it may not work out, and vice versa. They may not get a good deal, but if they have a great property manager, it might be okay for them.
Right. So property management's not something I do. I'm not allowed to do that with my brokerage. And, it's not really something I have an interest in. What I have done a lot, though, is project management on fix and flips. And at one point I was managing 5 clients from across the country with 5 flips. I helped them acquire it. I did all the design and finishes. I managed the project, and then I put the property on the market for them. And all except for one, they never saw the properties. They never physically saw the properties. They went based on my recommendations.
Gotcha. So I'm assuming you don't project manage for all these 92 rentals though,
No.
Right? Okay.
No. When they acquired it, so, there was a group and there was property management already in place. And I believe they stayed with a property management company that was already handling it when they purchased it because they felt they were doing a good job. So no, that's not something I do.
So then let me just kind of go through that process a little bit. I'm getting a little deep quick in this conversation because you've kind of intrigued me, because my wife's a realtor and she kind of does the same thing, but she's never really marketed herself to be able to do that. It's just that people that know me or have been in my network and have heard me talk about Gary and heard me talk about this area have come to her and have come to me, and I'm just like, well, my wife's a realtor. If you want to use her, you can. I'm not really trying to promote her or push her, but from time to time, she's done pretty much the same thing, not on purpose, just almost on accident. But so I guess my question is, how have you marketed yourself as that person, or is this just kind of a word of mouth thing, or is this something that you've actually created a marketing plan to be able to market for those people?
No, it actually kind of, like you said, it kind of happened. I, my husband and I, a couple of, let's see, 7 years ago, did one of the guru programs, the bus tour things.
Nice.
And so we were in that closed Facebook group, and just by posting organic content, I didn't even know what the word organic meant, 6 years ago. I just created a following. I started giving people information, helping them, like, this is why your deal doesn't work. Or, if you're going to be a gap funder, make sure that your money's secured, and is it an LLC? Do you have a second lien position? I just started putting out information to help people. And that's when people literally started reaching out to me. My phone was ringing off the hook pretty much weekly saying, hey, we want to invest in Atlanta. Hey, we want to invest in Atlanta. And I said, that's great. I'd love to help you, but I'm not the person who's going to put in 50 offers a week for you. Like, I would need just a full-time admin to do that. And so the way I built my reputation was, I told them, if I come across a deal that I would personally do, I am happy to pass it on to you. And that's exactly what I did. I mean, as I found deals, I knew what they were looking for. I knew what their criteria was. Back in the day, you can get things at 65 cents on the dollar. And there were parts of Atlanta that were starting to gentrify fairly quickly. And like I said, it was word of mouth. And so now I'm a little more purposeful, but it's still mostly word of mouth. I had someone reach out to me this morning and said, hey, so-and-so told me to reach out to you. Are you licensed in Florida? I'm looking for properties in Jacksonville. At that point I said, no, I'm not, but I've got someone down there that I can connect you with. And it's all about, for me, it's 100% building relationships and doing the right thing. I've told more people not to do a deal than to do a deal. I need to be able to sleep at night.
Yeah, I think that's actually very, very important. I think that for me, the definition of good success is the right people doing the right thing for the right reason, with the right people for the right amount of time. Right. And a lot of times, in order to find all of those rights, there has to be a bunch of wrongs before you have to filter out all those wrongs before you get to those right deals. And even in the 30 days of good success, one of my questions is, what do you need to say no to? What are those things that, or what in your business isn't working? And a lot of times, you have to say no. You have to put those boundaries up, and you have to set up barriers and say, hey, if I'm going to do a deal, it has to fit inside this box or inside these boundaries. And I think saying no to, for me, like, I have to say no to events. Like, almost every week I'm invited to a new event or to speak or to do something. And I have to say no. And sometimes they're great events, and sometimes I'm saying no to probably amazing opportunities, but I only have so much time and I only have so much capacity, and I've got to be very purposeful and planned out and methodical of what I want to be able to accomplish and why I want to be able to accomplish it. So it's very interesting. And that's how a lot of businesses start. A lot of businesses start out almost on accident. You didn't really mean to it. You just kind of got into something, and then you started posting content, it seems like, about what you were doing. And then now you've started to create your own little network, because now you probably have private lenders on one end. You've got property managers you might push on another end. You've got investors that want to buy on another end. And you might even have realtor friends that want to sell properties that say, hey, like, Lorraine, if you know somebody that would be interested in this, let me know so I can help you with that. So that's really interesting. And I love hearing success stories that are like that. It's really awesome. So let me ask you this question. This is kind of a deep question, but we ask pretty much every guest on the show this, because I think that if your why is big enough, your what will kind of take care of itself. You'll figure it out if you really believe and if you really have a big purpose in your life. So, Lorraine, why do you do what you do?
I do what I do because, first of all, I absolutely love it. I've been doing this for a long time. As we said earlier, I believe I started on the mortgage-backed securities trading floor. Then my girlfriend said, let's just go get our real estate license when we got out of college. And we did that. And I never really practiced until we moved to Atlanta. We're originally from New York. And I've loved real estate. I've loved architecture. I've loved old homes for as long as I can remember. So that's first and foremost. Secondly, the other big reason why I do what I do, especially with investors, is there are a lot of people out there, and I hate to say this, but there are a lot of people out there just scamming other people. And that just breaks my heart. I mean, it's oftentimes that I am on Facebook Messenger at 1 a.m. talking to somebody on the West Coast because they got pulled into a deal and Now they're trying to figure out how to get out of it. And, I tell everybody, look, I'm not an attorney, but here's what you need to do. Here's some steps that you need to follow. And it's what I love to do. And maybe that sounds a little corny, but it's ingrained in me.
So go a little bit deeper on that, because I'm kind of, obviously I'm well connected, and I have a lot of different people. I have a mastermind. I'm in several other masterminds, and I have probably about as most people would call inner circle from business, I probably have 500 people in this inner circle that I really do meet at least 2 or 3 times a year, and so I get to hear a lot of this. And what I've seen is, especially in the last year, especially 2019, there has been more and more deals that kind of maybe the people that were putting the deals together maybe got a little bit zealous with their numbers. Maybe people just, and kind of like what you said, people are getting into deals that they shouldn't have got into. I mean, from what I have seen, it hasn't been a lot of people scamming people. Although, I mean, I definitely think that there is that out there. I'm not going to deny that. I mean, we've all heard about the people that go to Vegas and like 7,000 properties later, they sold them. And then they're just like, really, I mean, they're selling the properties for like they're selling $20,000-$30,000 properties for like $80,000. And it's just amazing, how people get away with that. And they have their own financing, and I don't even know. I don't get it. But we've helped a lot of people clean up those kind of messes and put them on the right path and shown them, hey, like, this is really what you should be looking for and what you should be looking at. But why do you think that's kind of is? Why do you think that is in the marketplace? And I don't want to be, I'm not the person that's going to bash all the people for doing bad, although I don't like it. I hate it. But I kind of think there's always a reason, the underlying reason. And sometimes those underlying reasons are things that we should be aware of. And we should be able to, if we know this about a person, maybe we can like keep ourselves from going down those trails.
So I think a lot of it is, so there are several factors in my opinion. You've got HGTV, where everybody thinks that they can go flip a property and make $100,000. And one of my favorite Facebook posts, actually, it was almost 2 years ago, I broke down a deal that was on a TV show. I'm like, this is in my backyard. I'm going to break down the deal. And, on the show, they talked about how they made $90,000. And I tracked the entire property. I went to Zillow. I put in the links to Zillow. And I'm like, look, you can see that they didn't buy it for that, and it didn't sell for that. As a matter of fact, it got taken off the market before the show aired. It got eventually put back on. I said, oh, by the way, they never mentioned that they've had it for a year with hard money on it. That's got to come out of your profit.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's part of it. I think people are also caught up. I mean, at least I can't speak for all the markets, but I know some of the major markets with wholesaling and wholesalers out there on their social media. I just made 25 grand on this deal, or I made 50 grand on this deal. And people are thinking I can make money really, really fast. And they don't know everything that goes on behind it. The other thing is, with a lot of these deals, you have to do your own due diligence. You have to find someone that you trust. You need to do your own due diligence. You need to run your own numbers, because a lot of times I'll see, either on Facebook posts actually just presented, to a hard money lender in their office. And I said to them, if you get a deal where the investor is telling you it's a $20,000 rehab, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist.
Barely.
Okay, you're at least at 45,000. I mean, I did a house with a mentee, someone who'd been wanting to invest for 3 years, that met me at Think Realty, and everybody wanted his money in his deals. And I said to him, go ask these questions. The questions were never answered. And he came back to me, but, and I said, but it's your money. You can do what you want, but you paid me for my opinion. This is my professional opinion. When I realized how much he had, I said, let's just go do your own deal and we'll joint venture, and that's what we did. And so I explained, when I did this presentation, I said, that was pretty much a probate property that had walls and it had a ceiling, and it was a pretty easy rehab. I said, and that was 45 grand. So
right.
There's so many aspects, and so many variables that affect a deal that people just, they don't know what they don't know. And I think that's also a big part of it.
Yeah, so you mentioned HGTV as part of it. And then you also mentioned wholesalers giving numbers that aren't quite accurate. And I think I think some of that is just the fact that the nature of a wholesaler, and I think you as my audience in Good Success, you need to know this. All wholesalers are not giving you bad information on purpose. Most of the time, wholesalers are giving you bad information because they don't know any better either. It's their first deal, or they've only been doing this for a year. And I don't care if you've been doing construction for 5 years, you probably still don't know everything that's going to happen in a deal when it comes to construction. So I've been doing construction now for 30 plus years, and I can tell you, like, it just keeps going up. It's insane. And we know our numbers to a penny on every single deal as soon as we go out and do a scope of work. But even those numbers, even the scope of work could end up changing throughout the project. So, but I think you're exactly right. You know, a lot of times wholesalers will inflate the ARVs. A lot of times wholesalers will deflate the repairs. And I actually, it was funny. I actually got asked this question on Bigger Pockets not too long ago. You know, so, and they asked me about a particular wholesaler in my market. They were like, you know, I see that you've done a deal with him. You know, what can you tell me about him? You know, like, and are your deals doing well? And he was trying to correlate like the connection between the wholesaler and how well I did the deal, or how well that deal was working. And I had to stop him, and I said, you know, how well I do on this deal has absolutely nothing to do with that wholesaler. And I think everybody out there that's listening to this needs to know that if you're going to do a deal, it has absolutely nothing to do with that wholesaler. It has everything to do with you. The responsibility relies on you to do your due diligence, not just to trust what the wholesaler says. The responsibility is on you to know if you are getting a good deal or not. And if you're not comfortable with it, then don't do it. Say no, like we already said, right, Lorraine?
Exactly.
You know, so and I do believe in personal responsibility and owning our decisions and owning what we do. And the only way for me to do that is I turned this back on him and I said, hey, like, how well my houses are doing had nothing to do with him or not. What I'm willing to pay is not necessarily what he wants to sell a property for, and he knows that. So this particular wholesaler will bring me deals all the time, and sometimes I'll pay exactly what he's asking, but sometimes I'll be 5 or 10 grand less, and I'm sorry, sometimes I'll be 20 grand less than what he's asking for it. So their asking price to me means nothing. It's not even a data point. I don't even use their asking point as a data point for what I'm going to offer. And I'm really that way on the MLS as well. I know listing agents don't like that. But I mean, I'm the same way. If somebody is, and I'll tell you, back in the day in 2009, 2012, it didn't matter really what the list price was. If the list price was 100 grand and I was offering 50, I still got half of those deals. And now today, if you're offering 50% of list price, most realtors on the other side don't like that too much, but this is what I'm willing to pay. And we don't normally waste our time too much on those offers nowadays, but there's many deals that we're offering 80 or 90% of what that list price is. So I think those two are really good things you brought up. So thank you for bringing that up, Lorraine. But I think the other thing is these business owners that get into doing a business and actually having a business and going from maybe doing 10 deals to 40 or 50 deals, or going from 40, 50 deals to doing 100 deals. There's a lot of growing pains in that type of environment. And what I'll tell you is I believe that there are many sweet spots when it comes to doing deals as a provider or as a fix and flipper or as a wholesaler or as a whatever it is. And this is just my personal experience from the last 15 years of being in this game. And I think there's a sweet spot around 10 to 12 deals a year. If you do 10 to 12 deals a year, you can pretty much do it on your own. You don't need a whole lot of help. You might need some resources, but you can pretty much do most of it yourself. And then between 10 and 14 and 40, you're kind of in this growth stage where you have to build the team and build the processes to be able to do 40. But if you're only doing 20 or 25, you may not make any more money than you're actually if you did 10 or 12 deals. So I think that 40 to 50 is the next sweet spot. And then I think there's another sweet spot around 100. So 80 to 120 deals, I think, is that other sweet spot. And I'll give you an example. Me personally, I was a partner with a guy several years ago. And, year one, we did 147 deals. year 2, we did 243 deals. Year 3, we did 301 deals. We made less money doing the 301 deals than we did doing the 247, and less money doing the 247 than we did with 143. I believe the next sweet spot after 100 is like 400, because you have to build this so big, and most people will never build it that big. Something you'll notice is there are no Fortune 500, no billion-dollar companies that are real estate flippers. No billion-dollar companies. There are some that own rentals, but there are no wholesalers that are those massive companies, and there's a reason for that. So keep that all in mind. And I think there's 3 levels or 3 different things that we should be focusing on: building wealth, building cash flow, and our active income. And you have to have all 3. And most people get stuck in that first quadrant where they're really only working about active income. Cash flow is that next thing that you want to build, and you want to build enough passive income to be able to replace your income. Absolutely. But don't forget about building wealth. Wealth is the equity that's built, and it's the appreciation that you can either force or you can buy at a discount. So all those things I think are great. And I'm sorry for getting off on a tangent there.
No, you're fine.
I've had a lot of stuff built up in me, and I just got off of a great conference last week as well. So is there any more parts of your story that you'd like to tell people about? You've kind of told us about how you got started in what you're doing now. You've done a lot. So you've been an appraiser you could talk about. If you would rather talk about REN, Women's Real Estate Network, talk about that. But or maybe just other parts of your story, kind of what's brought you up to where you are now.
So I think another part of what's brought me up to, where I'm at is, yes, I was introduced to Deborah Rouzo, who's the founder of REN. We had multiple conversations last year, and I decided to open the first chapter, in the Southeast. So Atlanta is the first chapter on the Southeast, because there's 2 sectors that I'm really passionate about. One is getting more women to invest in real estate. I mean, look, we're in a man's world. I don't care what anybody says or however you slice it. And, generally I've been a speaker on several local panels, and I always wind up being the only female. Now that's fine. I mean, I came from corporate America. Like I said, I was on the mortgage-backed security trading floor with, I don't know how many hundreds of men and me. So it doesn't intimidate me, but it intimidates a lot of women. And just getting out there and letting them know, there's no reason that you can't do this. And what I'm finding with some of the women that are attending REN, like we just started in September, I have a lot of corporate women, that either have healthy 401ks and they want to get involved with real estate, but they don't know how. And right now it needs to be passively, not actively. Or they want to get out of the grind. The other passion I have, that they kind of go hand in hand, is I started having real estate agents reach out to me about a year ago saying, hey, they were DMing me on Instagram saying, I didn't know you taught real estate agents how to flip. And in my mind, I said, well, I don't, but I can. And so I think that's another very big hole in the market, is no one is teaching real estate agents how to create their plan B. What are they going to do? How do they invest in the product that they sell every day and think about, oh yeah, this is something I need to do. I have a very good friend who was turning 60, and we had this conversation, and she's like, I'm going to have to sell real estate for like the next 10 years. And I said, well, why? You've made great money. She's made great money, but she didn't know what to do with it. So she's sitting here now at 60 trying to figure out, okay, what's next? What do I do? I have to plan for retirement. How do I do that? So we've had that conversation. So I said, those right now are my top 2 passions. I mean, they're interlinked, but that's kind of what keeps me going. I think that no one's teaching real estate agents that they need to do this for themselves.
That's awesome. I love that. And I've actually also, I've asked the same question myself. It's kind of funny. So in our mastermind, we only have 2 women members, and all the rest are men. And it's weird because, in a way you think and I'm like, I'm not inviting women. In fact, like right. we don't even advertise for men. Like there's no gender bias whatsoever. But like what I'm realizing is it's just more women are not in the game, and it's not because men are not inviting them, I don't think. But I think it's kind of what you said. I think it's because the women themselves are afraid, and they're using fear as their motivating factor instead of that faith or that whatever else, that and maybe it's just knowledge. Maybe they don't have the the knowledge, I'm not sure, but it's awesome that you're actually trying to teach them and give them that knowledge to kind of help them overcome those fears for that. Any other reason? So you kind of mentioned fear or maybe lack of knowledge. Is there any other reason why you think that might be the case, where women just aren't really more active in this business?
I think that's the main reason. And as you said, if they look at groups where they see mostly men, I don't know. It's never scared me. It's like I said, it's never been anything that's gotten in my way. But yeah, I think it's just that's the main reason. Or they think I can't do this, or I don't know enough about construction, so I can't work on a fix and flip. And look, what I know because I'm nosy. I'll go out to the renovation. I'll talk to the contractors. I'll talk to the subs. What are you doing? What is this for? And so I like to joke and I say, I know enough to be dangerous. I know enough to know that something's not right. Am I a GC? No. Am I a structural engineer? No. But I have enough in my background that, allows me to just look at things. And I'm always learning. You're always learning in this industry. I don't care what anybody says. The day you stop learning is the day you're done.
Yep, 100%. So it's pretty much just a fear thing or a lack of knowledge. So that I think that's, at least if we know the reasons why it's not, maybe we can focus on that to try to help them. And maybe that I'm assuming that's what you're doing with Ren, and that's what you're doing maybe with teaching other real estate agents how to invest in real estate as well.
Correct. And just showing them the different avenues that they can use to invest. Most people think cash flow or fix and flip. They've never thought about doing a joint venture with somebody because they work full time. They've never thought about being private lenders. I just had a speaker on, notes. Most people had no idea what note investing was. And it's just putting the information out there so people have access to it, and just they don't know what they don't know. Just getting them to think a little bit. And sometimes if it's just presented, then they can sit there and think, oh, wow, maybe I can do that.
Right. Absolutely. I love it. So what are the topics then that you are teaching on this Ren? Are you having a monthly meetings or something? Like what does that look like? Is it educational? Is it kind of more networking or kind of what goes on there?
So we try to do a little bit of both. It's definitely educational. I bring in a speaker every month. The woman I just had came in I'm so grateful. She flew in from California. She's a note investor, has been a note investor for several years. And so I pick a topic. I try to pick different topics. Well, I have to pick different topics every month just to bring awareness to everybody. So majority of the meetup is educational, and then we take the last half hour, and sometimes actually the last couple of times we've gone longer than a half an hour, and then we just network and we come together and we collaborate. And I've got a mix from people that have never invested in real estate to other people that they already own some rentals. One lady owns a multifamily, so it's great because it's a good mix. And I really want it to be a collaborative effort where further on down the line, like I said, we just got started, where we're helping fund each other's deals, or maybe we're helping, each other find deals, and really make it a collaborative effort where we all work together.
That's awesome. Cool. Yeah. So that's really exciting. So, a question I always ask all of my people on the podcast is what has been your biggest challenge that you're willing to maybe tell us about? So I know a lot of times we have challenges that maybe we're not sure we want to let everybody know, but I think that we can always learn from other people's challenges and other people's heartaches or other people's failures. So what has been your biggest challenge, and how did you overcome it?
So my biggest challenge I have two challenges. So I'll just be I'm a 100% transparent person. I have two challenges. One is implementing systems, which is something I have to get better at, because I'm that person that can, take something and run with it. I'm not afraid of something getting dumped on me. I'm not like that checklist person. So getting systems in place is something that I'm working on with a good friend of mine. And I'm a control freak. I don't like to hand anything off because I'm that person's like, no one's going to do it like I do it. And so learning to leverage and build a team, which I'm in the process of doing as well, and just making sure that we are, that they're a right fit for me and I'm a right fit for them. So I'd say those are my two biggest challenges that I'm currently working on right now.
Interesting. Have you read the Checklist Manifesto?
No, and probably just based on the title, I probably wouldn't.
You should. You should read that. You should read that. And then you should
Okay.
also read Hiring for Attitude.
Okay.
I think both of those might help you on both sides of that. I mean, for me, culture is like my number one most important thing that I try to build in my businesses. And it's kind of funny because, in this business, a lot of, like you said, a lot of people are men. But like if you look at the leaders that run my companies, they're all women except for one. I mean, two if you count me. But on my leadership team, they're all women except for one. And I have just found that a lot of times in the workplace, and a lot of times that you can train women, and that women will be actually normally more loyal, honestly, than men, and they have a lot of great strengths that I think will normally help in the long run, especially on a leadership team and getting to working together. So I think that's pretty awesome that you mentioned all those things. And even in my company, I've had project coordinators that you would think would be a man's job, and they're women. I've had a construction manager that was a woman. So I think it's always, I think women definitely can work in this business, and they can be very successful, sometimes more successful because they see things that men don't see
Right.
in it. So awesome. So thank you so much for giving that. So what exciting project or event do you got working on right now? I think we talked a little bit before about, before we got on this call about a project that you're working on. Do you have anything else exciting, or maybe tell us about this ebook that you're writing?
So I'm working on an ebook that's called Flip the Switch. And it's Flip the Switch from real estate agent to real estate investor, to really explore, changing that mindset and why real estate agents really need to consider this, especially given that Atlanta right now has so many iBuyers coming into the market. We have hedge funds in the market. We have foreign money. There's just so much going on that real estate agents, first of all, they need to, identify and understand that the landscape is changing, and you have to change. You have to change and adapt, or you'll be out of business. And, I think that falls in line with, what else can you do? What's your plan B? No one's teaching agents to do this. What do their financials look like? They need a financial checkup. What's going on. So that's probably the biggest one that I'm working on, right now, getting that out, and also working more on that brand. I'm working with a mutual friend that we both have on just getting the word out there, and trying to bring this to the forefront of, real estate agent minds, as well as female investors. And I'm looking for a fix and flip, but that's been a little bit of a challenge right now.
So Flip This Switch will be available soon. So when that comes out, everybody look out for that. And this podcast will be on the line forever. So maybe if you're listening to this 2 or 3 years later, that will be something that you can read, which is basically about talking about how you can flip the switch from being a realtor to an investor, right? Or you just talk about from a realtor to a fix and flipper.
No, I'm covering a couple of different topics, and kind of what are your different options. I actually, did it as a workshop last August. I had a law firm reach out to me. I kind of told them what I was working on, and they asked me if I would be willing to present it to a group of realtors. And I said, sure, I'd love to. So they rented the space, they brought in lunch, and I had about 30 real estate agents there. And to just, I explained to them, most real estate agents don't like investors because their thing is, they lowball everything, but they don't understand why. So when I took a deal and literally broke down and said, this is why $20,000 off of, the appraised price is not a deal for an investor. When I took that and I broke down the deal, and here's all the costs and the commissions and hard money costs and, power and, everything, I could see the light bulbs go off. Mm-hmm. And for me, that was everything. Like they were like, oh my gosh, it clicked. And so I think that's the other thing, to make agents also better at working with investors, so they also understand, what are they looking for, and to truly become not just a real estate agent, but their consultant, their advisor. Like my guy came to me with the 92 units 2 weeks ago. He's like, can you help me pick paint colors for the outside? And so I've become a resource. I am their go-to person in Atlanta, and just finding, other ways to use your talents to just benefit everybody.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I really like that. And kind of to go along with that, when you're buying a house on the MLS it's almost as if most realtors have the mindset that if a house is worth $200,000 and it needs $30,000 worth of work, then they should automatically be able to get, you know, 170 for it, right? Like $30,000 off of
Right.
what retail should be.
Exactly.
And that might be true for a typical homeowner. If I'm a homeowner, I'm still not buying. I still would want more of a discount than just the actual rehab cost. But for an investor that also has to have maybe private money, that also has to pay for utilities, for taxes, and then wants to make money in the deal, you know, like if you bought that same house for $100,000, it's very possible you may only make $10,000 or $15,000 when it's all said and done. And that just like doesn't even compute to most people's minds. But really breaking down, being completely transparent. This is what actually happens in this deal. Hey, you know, they bought it for 100,000. They didn't put 30 into it like you thought it was going to be. End up being 45.
Yep.
And then they held it for 6 months. So then they have utilities. They've got taxes. They got insurance. They have to mow the grass. They've got to, you know, pay for water and sewer. And maybe HOA fees, and then you get late. Then you have to pay the private lender for 6 months worth. Right. Then you have to pay the realtor on the backside and the closing costs and whatever concessions the buyer wants. And at the end of the day, okay, if you end up with $10,000, okay, like this is what it is. It's not $100,000 profit that everybody thinks it is when they initially look at a deal. So breaking it down is definitely, you know, showing transparency, and it's really great to be able to show people what the truth is in the matter. And helping realtors understand that as well. And I think that can help a realtor be a better realtor, even if they are just in the retail market.
Exactly.
So that's audience. So if our audience would like to get a hold of you, maybe you've got an email or website or somewhere that you'd like to be able to send them. Maybe you do. Maybe when this free audiobook, or maybe when this audiobook comes out, you'll be able to push them there. But if my audience would like to get a hold of you, maybe they're buying. Maybe they want to be a buyer. They're a buyer and they want to buy in Atlanta and in that market. What's the best place to send them?
The best place to send me is my cell phone, and that is 404-429-7354. Everything I have, all my social media is under Lorraine Beato. So my website is lorrainebeato.com, and that's Beato. My Instagram is Lorraine Beato. I have a lot of people reach out to me through there. My Facebook, if they want to connect, I don't share everything, but they can look me up on Facebook and friend request me. I'm also on LinkedIn. So across all platforms, it's Lorraine Beato, lorrainebeato.com. Email is lorrainebeato@gmail.com. So shouldn't be too hard.
Awesome. So lorrainebeato@gmail.com. She did leave her cell phone, and you can find her on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn and connect with her there, guys, if you guys are interested in buying in Atlanta, or maybe just using her as a resource one way or another. Or if you're a woman trying to figure out how to do real estate, or if you're a realtor and you're like, hey, I want to learn how to do real estate, maybe you could learn from Lorraine Beato. So that's awesome. So thank you so much for spending the time with us today, Lorraine. Every single guest gets asked these 2 questions. We've got 2 more questions for you. So I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball at you. And so good success to us means a lot. You've kind of already heard my definition of it, and you know what I think, because I think it's more about having the right kind of success instead of just like making money or doing something or doing a lot of something. But to you, what would you consider, if somebody would ask you what the right kind of success is or what is good success, what would you say? So what does good success mean to you?
So good success to me means not only that I'm successful, but those that are around me are also successful. I believe in helping people, giving a hand up, not necessarily a handout, and really forming partnerships where we all benefit each other. Our strengths and weaknesses help each other out. And, you know, we all reach our goals, whatever they may be, by helping each other.
That's awesome. So yeah, I love that. I love win-win situation. I love, you know, what many gurus over the years have said, if you help enough other people get what you, I think Jim Rome said, or Jim Rome or Zig Ziglar said, if you help enough other people get what they want, you'll eventually get what you want. So I love those definitions. So thank you so much for that. So I've got one more question for you. If you had to leave the audience with one thing, maybe it's a quote, maybe it's a book, maybe it's a piece of advice or a lesson that you've learned throughout your career, what would that be? So just leave the audience with one thing. What would that be?
To build relationships. the biggest part of my success has been building relationships and asking people, how can you, it goes back to the same thing. How can you help them? It's not just about me. It's also about you. What can we do together? How can we collaborate together? And that's why I am where I am now. It's from relationships that I have formed over the last several years that have gotten to me where I'm at. I mean, I'm a big relationship builder. I don't cold call even for my regular real estate business. It's all, who do I know? How can I help them? And be authentic.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing. Be authentic.
That question is a question everybody should learn. And then when you say the question, you also have to learn, which some people have to learn this, to shut up. So the question is, how can I help you? And then shut up.
Zip it.
Just listen to what they actually have to say, to what they're actually asking for help for. So that's awesome piece of advice. Be a good listener and really be concerned about helping other people. When you help other people, eventually you do get what you're trying to get out of it as well. So just remember that. So that's going to do it for today. I'm so thankful for everybody that watches the Good Success Podcast. Thank you guys so much for your time. If you haven't already subscribed to the Good Success Podcast, you can go on there. You can find us on LinkedIn. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on all the podcast platforms, iTunes, Stitcher, you name it, we're on there. If you could do me a favor and go onto iTunes and give us a 5-star review, that would really help us and help our ratings and help the Good Success Podcast get out to more people as well. But also, you can also share us with a friend. I was just at an event last week where it was funny. I mean, I heard more and more people say, hey, you should listen to Tom's podcast. And I hadn't even mentioned it the entire week. It was really great to hear that from other people. But you can always mention us to your friends. There's a lot of people that are listening to podcasts now. So if you guys want to do that, that would be awesome. Don't forget about the 30 Days to Good Success Journey. You can pick up your copy at goodsuccess.com. And if you're interested in the Community Go-Giver event that's coming up in just a couple months here from now, and it happens every single year right here in Gary, Indiana, where we show you how we are flipping the city of Gary, Indiana, and how we're changing the messaging, and also jobs are coming into this place. It is so awesome. I'm so thankful that God has been blessing Gary this last couple of years, and it seems like he's going to continue to bless us as well. So that's going to do it for today's episode. Remember to be a conduit, not a bucket. Work to have to give.
Hey everyone, Eddie Wilson here with Go Media. I'm so excited to be a part of the upcoming marketing boot camp with Good Success. I can't encourage you enough to come be a part of this. If you are struggling in any way with your branding, with your communication, with finding the leads that you need, this is a day that I would encourage you to invest in. Bring you and bring someone else that maybe does the marketing for your company, as they will enjoy a great amount of information and education in this space. I have owned 2 ad agencies in my lifetime and have done a lot of marketing, branding, and lead generation for some of the largest corporations in America. They're in our Fortune 500 list today. And I believe I can narrow that information and that concept down to the local small businesses I have done for many years for my own businesses to help you be successful. One of the things we're going to talk about in the marketing is how to communicate effectively with that potential customer. Marketing across all different venues and types. Also, we're going to talk about data, how to find great data. If your competitor is finding good data and you do not have access to data sources, they could be out communicating you and talking specifically to the customer that you would like. We're going to build a strategic roadmap on how you can get from where you are to where you want to go from a marketing perspective. I hope you'll come be a part, and I'm excited to see you at the Marketing Boot Camp at the Good Success Mastermind.
Think quick. You've got exactly 10 days to raise $2.5 million. Success means you get a deal with near certain profit of $4 million, and failure means you lose $200,000 of earnest money. What do you do? I'll tell you in a minute, but first, I am Carol Ellis, Editor-in-Chief of Self-Directed Investor Magazine and founding partner of KLT Group. I am delighted that Tom Olson invited me to speak with you about copywriting at the upcoming Good Success Marketing Boot Camp in Dallas on February 27th. So what do you do if you absolutely must raise $2.5 million in 10 days? I know, because this is what we do every single month. In fact, that was the exact situation of a recent client who, despite every advantage imaginable, still found himself in a do-or-die situation. So he hired us at our standard rate of $25,000 per day, and 1 day is all it took. Bottom line, he got all $2.5 million and then some with 5 days to spare. But how did we do it? And why do our clients routinely get exactly what they want? In February, I will show you the whole case study and the tactics we use each and every time a client desperately needs real estate marketing results, whether they're raising capital, selling a training program, marketing a house, or anything else. It comes down to this: what you say is important. How you say it is infinitely more important. I will show you hard evidence that if you need results today, what you need is the right words that speak to the heart, the soul, and the deepest desires of your prospects. And best of all, it won't even cost you $25,000. I will see you soon.
Hey everybody, I'm Max Keller. Welcome. I'm with CustomersChasingYou.com, NetProfitWorkbook.com, Mobile Vested. I have a lot of companies, and let me tell you what a lot of companies needs: a lot of marketing. Are you in control of your marketing right now? Do you have customers chasing you, or are you out there chasing customers? Here's what I'm going to teach at the Marketing Bootcamp in February. You are not going to want to miss it. You're going to want to bring a friend. Do not miss it. It will be the event of the year. I guarantee it. 100% guarantee it. Here's what I'm going to talk about and teach from my own experience. Number one, how to get customers chasing you. Instead of you calling people, they're not calling you back and running around in circles. I figured out a way to reverse the whole paradigm, there's a big word, and have customers calling and seeing if they can work with me. I'm going to teach you how to do that. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is I'm going to teach you how to take your interruption marketing that you're doing right now, your direct mail, maybe it's not working like it used to be. I have a strategy and a technique I'm going to teach you at the boot camp that's going to 10x your results. Sounds too good to be true? Find out, but it's not. It's working. And then lastly, I'm going to teach you how to become an author on your own. I have nothing to sell. Okay, I'm going to give you all of my tools. I have a book template that I use to write every single book that I've written so far. Here's a few of them. You know, if you want to have your face on the cover of a book, now's the time. People really respond to these. I'm going to teach you how I got started. I'm going to introduce you to resources, and I'm going to give you the same book template that I use when I write all of my books, 100% for free. But you can't get it unless you come to the event. So register down below. Don't wait. Take advantage of the discount, and I will see you there in February for the Marketing Bootcamp. Take care. Bye, y'all.
Hey everybody, Tom Olson here from the Good Success Mastermind, and I have some exciting news for you. On February 27th, 2020, we are going to have a whole day, full day, jam-packed, full marketing boot camp at the Good Success Mastermind, the first day of the mastermind. If you come, you're going to be able to stay there for the next 2 days and actually mastermind and be with super high-level kingdom entrepreneurs that want to live life on purpose, for purpose, work to have to give. They want to be a conduit, not a bucket. We have got myself, we have got Max Keller, we have got Carol Ellis, who's going to teach about copy, and Eddie Wilson is going to be headlining our Good Success Marketing Bootcamp that day. I can't wait for you to be a part of it. You know, the biggest outcome that I can see that you're going to have out of coming to this is having a full-fledged marketing plan. Normally, you might pay thousands and thousands of dollars for a company to come out and give you a marketing plan, but we're going to go through the structure. We're going to ask you the questions, and by the end of the day, we're hoping that you'll have a big picture, high-level marketing plan to be able to go out and implement. You're not going to know all the details, and maybe we can do some follow-up, and maybe we can, you know, make that your next quarter rocks or whatever the case is. But I can't wait for this. I think it's going to be amazing. I've learned so much myself from Eddie Wilson personally, and I can't wait to be able to help you as well. So what you need to do, just click on the link below and just say, hey, I want to be there. Raise your hand and say, I want to be there to the Good Success Marketing Bootcamp on February 27th, 2020. I can't wait to see you there. Shake your hand and say, hey, let's be a part of the Good Success Mastermind.